Hey guys.
Hey guys, my name is Melvin.
And I'm Melissa.
And we are Mel Square.
You're the feeling in my soul. Every sunrise turns to gold. You're the reason I will never be alone. You are my home.
The tulip season in the Netherlands is one of the main seasons in Netherlands where people come from all around the world to see this specifically. It usually runs from mid-March to about mid-May, and this year, due to warmer weather, it was actually slightly earlier, so it's full bloom in about mid-April to end of April. Visiting the Netherlands for the tulip season, we think can be divided into two main categories. So first, visiting the tulip farms, and secondly, visiting Keukenhof Garden. So then the next part of our visit, we then went to Keukenhof Garden, the biggest spring garden in the world. What was your first impression of Keukenhof?
It was very busy.
It was. So if you're planning to visit the Netherlands for the tulip season, ideally, if possible, we would definitely recommend visiting on the weekdays. Unfortunately, we couldn't do that, but I think the weekends were just so crowded. But if you can't do weekdays, I think the next best option, which was what we did, was to visit the garden slightly later part of the day, because by then a lot of the tour buses would have left by then, and then it gets less and less crowded throughout the day. So either visit during weekdays, early in the morning, although I feel like if you visit early in the morning, it opens only at 8, and by 10 I think it starts getting busy, so you only have about 2 hours. Whereas in the evening, if you visit in the later part of the day, the garden closes at 7:30, and by about 3 or 4 p.m, most of the tourists, the tour buses, start to leave, so that you have slightly more time in the afternoon. So there are several ways to get to Keukenhof Garden. The first is by car. There is a big parking lot there with a lot of parking spaces. The second is to take public transport. The third is to actually take a bus, and there is a direct bus from Amsterdam Rai or RAI, and Haarlem, which goes directly to the Keukenhof Garden, and this can be purchased either individually or with the tickets. Or fourthly, you can just cycle there, depending on where you stay.
Yes. Although it might be quite a far cycle, all the roads are very bicycle friendly with dedicated cycle lanes, so you find that it'll be quite easy to get there from Amsterdam. And alternatively, although it's a little bit more costly, if you're traveling in a large group, you could also take a taxi.
To be very honest, personally, I'm more of a wildflowers kind of girl. If I had a choice, I would definitely choose mountain woodlands or just wild forest, compared to a very nice manicured garden. But Keukenhof actually impressed me, and I think it was really worth it. It does cost about 20 euros per person, so that's about 16 pounds, 17 pounds. And initially I thought it was quite expensive and quite touristy, but then again, there are millions of people who come everywhere throughout the world to visit this place specifically during the tulip season, and it's only open from mid-March to mid-May. So in Keukenhof Garden, there are many different areas of tulips just everywhere, and not just tulips, different types of flowers like daffodils, hyacinths, all mixed together. And it really felt almost what did it felt like? It
feels like the garden Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. It felt like a mixture of, I think, that plus a flower version of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Yeah.
If you think you've seen nice landscape flowers, you haven't seen it yet. This is absolutely picture perfect down to the last bulb.
Yeah, and I was actually quite blown away by the amount of work and effort needed to actually maintain the place. So apparently all the flowers are planted individually by hand.
And they're watered every single day as well. So even though they close at about 7 o'clock, the work for the workers doesn't stop there. So they have to water it throughout the night, so that in the daytime the flowers will stay fresh. So interestingly, even though that the Netherlands has so many tulips now, it wasn't indigenous to the Netherlands. And in the early days of when the tulip first came to Holland, it was actually a very prized possession. It's a status symbol, so much so that each tulip would cost a few thousand euros at the time, and people would buy it and place it in their garden just as a status symbol.
And also, the way that it's actually planted is quite smart.
The tulips only last for a few weeks at a time for each tulip stalk. So the way that they keep the tulips last, if they want it to last a longer period of time, they plant tulips one on top of the other. So they put the first layer of bulbs and then the next layer. So the first layer will bloom and then they'll die, and then the next layer will bloom after that. So it'll last for a longer period of time.
Ah. I wonder whether we can plant it in Malaysia.
You can enjoy it.
Yeah, and at both the Tulip Fields and Keukenhof Garden, they actually sell tulip bulbs, which you can purchase if you want to plant it in your own garden. Okay, so if you had to choose one, which would you choose? Like the Tulip Fields or Keukenhof Garden?
I think if you had a full day, you should do both. What we did was we went via bike cycling to the Tulip Fields, and then later in the day we went to the Keukenhof Garden because each provides its own specialness or its own uniqueness. And I think if you don't see both, you didn't truly see all there is to see.
Yeah, I would say the same. I think if I really had to pick one, just because of my personal preference, I think I would lean slightly towards the Tulip Fields because I think it was very cozy. It was a nice experience just cycling around the area, looking at the tulip fields. And also, I really loved the place that we visited, the Tulip. It was very cozy, family run, and we got the experience to also pick our own tulips. But like Melvin said, I think both experiences had its own uniqueness. So in conclusion, I think if you have a full day, visit both. The Tulip Fields and the cycling experience were really fun. It's a nice family outing experience, whereas the Keukenhof Garden is a very well-maintained, beautiful garden. And even if you're not into flowers, I think it's definitely worth a visit. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoy our videos, remember to like and subscribe for more adventures. And see you next time.
Bye.
Bye!